Hello students, this is Dr. Ranjini, Assistant Professor in Biotechnology. Welcome to e-learning session in tissue culture, that is plant, cell and tissue culture. Today in this session, we learn about the definition of micropropagation, stages of micropropagation, applications and disadvantages of shoot culture. Tissue culture is a term used for the growth of plants or more commonly plant parts otherwise called as explants in sterile culture. Parts are explants. Explants are nothing but part of the plant which is rich in meristematic tissue and it shows high rate of mitotic division and the growth of the plant part will be more when we place it in a media under sterile condition in vitro media. Micropropagation is a method of propagating plants using very small parts of the plants that are grown in sterile culture. Micropropagation is not most likely the major use of tissue culture for molecular biologists or plant breeders. However, it is important commercially and can be used to introduce several concepts that apply to the tissue culture. This micropropagation technique was first shown by the scientist George Morrell, who was the first to show the micropropagation. George Morrell first showed the potential of clonal propagation in culture by describing the in vitro multiplication of orchids. He studied on orchids and he showed this technique, that is the clonal propagation. In orchids, small spherical bodies called protocombs. These are called protocombs formed on the cultured shoot tip explants of orchids. Several protocombs formed on each explant when divided and transferred. Additional protocombs were also formed. This micropropagation has been shown to be especially useful in horticultural crops. Micropropagation is usually achieved by the release and growth of pre-existing axillary or lateral meristems. Meristems, you know, these are the part of the plant or the tip region of the part which are rich in the actively and mitotically dividing uh, uh, cells, and they are called meristems. This is often referred to as shoot culture. If you grow this meristem into, or if you use the meristem as the explant and if you grow the plant, that is called shoot culture. A formal definition is the clonal in vitro propagation by repeated enhanced formation of axillary shoots from the shoot tips or lateral meristems following culture on a media, sterile media supplemented with plant growth regulators. So in the media, we are putting the plant growth regulators like cytokinin and auxin in particular ratio. The shoots produced are rooted either in vitro or out of the culture. So this is regarding the shoot culture. But all this is possible because there is plasticity in plant cell. The plasticity is the in plant development that allows for the development according to the environmental conditions. So where you put this plant cell according to the growth regulator and environmental condition you are giving, the all the plant cell will develop into either shoot or to the root. That is called plasticity. Since all plant organs develop from meristems, these structures are there where the plant development and plant form is ultimately regulated. The meristems are formed during embryogenesis and consists of group of undifferentiated cells that will initiate organ primordia. So the undifferentiated mass of cell, we call it as the callus. So this undifferentiated cells that later develop the organ development by activating the organ primordial cells during plant life. The apical shoot meristem give rise to the complete shoot of the plant, and the apical root meristem is the origin of the root of the plant. The different zones can be distinguished within the apical shoot meristem. Like the cells in the central zone are larger and divide infrequently, while the peripheral zone is the site of organogenesis. So the peripheral meristem region consists of small cells that divide fast and differentiate into specific organ. So that is regarding the meristem. Now, in stems, mitosis in the apical meristem of the shoot apex, that is, shoot apex means shoot tip or the terminal bud, produces the cells that enable the stem to grow longer periodically. Cells will give rise to leaves. The point on the stem where leaves develop is called the node. The point on the stem where the leaf develop is called the node, and the region between pair of adjacent node is called the internode. So here, if you just imagine, this is the shoot. From one point the leaf arises, that is the node. There may be another leaf like this, and the distance between the adjacent node is called the distance between the pair of the adjacent node is called the internode. The place where the leaf appears is the nodal region. This is the nodal region, and the distance between the two adjacent node is the internode. Shoot apical meristems are found at the terminal top of or the shoot tips. Further down the shoots are the axillary or the lateral meristems. So the meristem play an important role in initiating the development of the organ. In shoot culture, it has its own advantage. Shoot production is reliable and consistent. And here in the shoot culture, the multiplication rates can be threefold to eightfold a month because of the presence of the activity of the shoot tip or the shoot meristem. And the plant produced by a shoot culture are usually true to type and uniform. So they'll be uniform. But the main disadvantage of the shoot culture is cytokinins do not release apical dominance in all species. And there may be difference in results between juvenile and the mature tissue of the perennial species. And another disadvantage is it may not be possible to get uniform shoot production in vitro, which can be very important in commercial operations. And the procedure is relatively labor intensive with high upfront costs to get started. So it is laborious and cost effective also. So due to all these disadvantages in the shoot culture, we are using the micro propagation. We'll just see the what are the few applications of the micro propagation. So the application include the clonal mass propagation of large number of uniform plants is possible in micro propagation. Clonal mass means all the plants look alike. All the plants look alike, and hence they are called as clonal mass production of the plants. Micropropagation may allow faster production of the plants that are slow to propagate in vivo. In vivo, they may show the very slow propagation, but when you allow them to grow in the in vitro culture with the growth regulator, it is their growth will be increased. It may decrease the time needed for bulk up of the new cultivars before they are introduced commercially. So the clonal propagation, the beauty of the micropropagation is that each cell will develop into a complete plant, that is called cellular totipotency, due to which when we take the explant and inoculate it, we'll find thousands of plant and the new cultivars will be developed before they are commercially introduced into the market. And this micropropagation is the another method of germplasm conservation. So the storage of the germplasm is possible in micropropagation by cryopreservation. So these are the few applications of micropropagation. Apart from that, there are many applications of the micropropagation. Next, we will learn the stages of micropropagation. Micropropagation is typically divided into 5 stages, like stage 1 to 4 were originally proposed by Murashige, the scientist Murashige. Later, Deberg and Mene, they added the another the stage. That stage we call it as the stage 0 or the preparative stage. So this micropropagation will have the 5 stages. That is, one is stage 0. This is the preparative stage. Then stage 1 is otherwise called as establishment of explant in culture. Stage 2 is shoot initiation or shoot multiplication, or sometimes in some textbook it will be referred as shooting or proliferation of the axillary shoots. Stage 3 is shoot initiation or stage 3 is root initiation or rooting or pre-transplant. Then stage 4 is transfer to natural environment or hardening or acclimatization. Stage 0 is preparative stage. Stage 1 is establishment of the explant in culture in the aseptic media. Stage 2 is shoot initiation or shooting. Stage 3 is root initiation or rooting. Stage 4 is the transfer of each tissue culture saplings into the natural environment. This is otherwise called as hardening or acclimatization. Now we'll see each stages in detail. So stage 0 is the preparative stage. The donor plant selection and preparation of the explant quality takes place in the stage 0. In stage 0, the mother plant will be grown under the controlled condition, and this will provide the information about its growth, and it will be free from the infection, and we will be knowing how the plant respond to the environmental condition. That is called stage 0, or it is the stage where we select the donor plant for the further experiment to isolate the explant. So this stage 0 play an important role in deciding the quality and responsiveness of the particular plant explant. And this donor plant will be monitored for the pathogen infection, or it will be the donor plant will be indexed for pathogens, and pathogen free stock plants maintained in the clean conditions under low humidity and with drip irrigation, and vigorous growth is encouraged, but vigorous growth in the stock plant or the mother plant will be encouraged, but not over fertilization. The donor plants may be pre-treated in certain ways. So that stage is very important in selecting the donor plant for isolation of the explant or excision of the explant. Next, we will move on to the stage 1. So before moving on to the stage 1, here the selection of the explant from the mother plant should be very important, because if you select the explant from the infected plant, the whole plants regenerated by the micropropagation, they show the same infection. To avoid that, you should select the mother plant which is healthy and highly regenerative, and it is completely free of microorganism. Next, we'll move on to the stage 1. It is otherwise called as the establishment of the aseptic culture. Here, the explant will be selected. Usually, this explant will be selected from the meristematic region, where it is rich in the mitotic, actively dividing mitotic cells will be selected, and this will show the high multiplication rate or high regenerative capacity in the in vitro condition on the media with which is supplemented with the growth hormones. Here, the surface sterilization of the explant will be done, and the explant will be any meristematic region which is in very small size, and surface sterilization will be done with the disinfectants. So where it will make the explant completely free of other contaminating microorganism. And but when you are selecting the disinfectants or surface sterilant, it should not cause the phytotoxicity. It should not affect the viability of the cell. And the explant will be surface sterilized, and it will be repeatedly washed in the sterile distilled water to remove the remnants of the surface sterilant. And you'll be knowing the about the surface sterilant what we use. It could be the very low concentration of the silver nitrate or mercury chloride, like that we will be using it. And this surface sterilant has to be removed from the explant so that it will not affect the viable nature of the cell. Next, the explant will be repeatedly washed and will be inoculated on the media which is having the very low concentration of the auxin. So this explant usually will be the shoot tip under the sterilized condition or the rich in meristematic tissue. And the media must contain all the components necessary to nourish the explant. That is, the media composition has to be standardized when you are selecting the particular explant, and to make the explant perform as desired, as we require. So the media composition is very important. And here, when you are inoculating the explant, you have to consider so many things like browning of the media. So this results from the oxidation of the phenolics that are leached out, that are removed from the cut surfaces of the explant. So the phenolics, oxidation of the phenolics will make the media brown. So often seen with adult woody plant multiplication. So this has to be handled with antioxidant with the frequent transfer. So this browning of the media will affect the growth of the explant. The media formulation is often standardized, and usually example the MS media, that is Murashige and Skoog media will be used, but more complex media may be necessary for smaller explants. Medium may be the media what we select may be semi-solid or liquid. There are advantages and disadvantages of each. So if you are taking the semi-solid media, that will give the adsorbing surface for the growth of the explant under in vitro condition. But if you select the liquid, it will not give the adsorbing surface for the growing explant. Like this, you will be having the advantages as well as the disadvantages. Along with that, the light plays an important role after you inoculate the explant on the media. The temperature, what you are maintaining, that also play an important role. Usually 25 degrees centigrade plus or minus 5 degree will be maintained to grow the explant. And you have to maintain their humid nature in the plant tissue culture lab for the multiplication of this explant. So now this explant absorbs the nutrient present in the media, and that will grow into undifferentiated mass of cell that is called as the callus. Undifferentiated mass of cell, that we call it as the callus, will be developed after about a week or 15 days when the conditions are optimum. Next, we will move on to the stage 2. This is otherwise called as the shooting step or shoot production, or multiplication and proliferation of axillary shoots. Here, the callus will be sliced into smaller pieces and will be inoculated into the media containing the cytokinin alone or along with this very small concentration of the auxin. So the amount of the cytokinin and the presence and the presence of the very low concentration of the auxin must be determined very empirically, because the step requires the higher concentration of the cytokinin compared to the auxin. So either you can inoculate in the media containing only cytokinin, or in combination with very low concentration of the auxins. Here, the shoot initiation takes place and the shoots harvested and shoot clusters transfer to the fresh media at frequent and regular intervals. So because of the presence of the cytokinins, the shoot initiation takes place. And when you inoculate the callus, you will not have the single cell. You may have the group of cell, due to which you will see the cluster of shoots will be formed. And these will be transferred to the fresh media frequently and regularly. And the number of subculture is possible from the original culture, and this will vary with the type of the plant you are growing, or it is species specific or cultivar specific. But the main disadvantage of continuous subculturing is this will reduce the regenerative capacity or the growth. At the same time, it will increases the mutation in the plant. So due to which they'll avoid too much subculturing. Subculturing is nothing but taking out each shootlet and inoculating into the another media, fresh media supplemented with all the nutrient. So now you have in stage 2, you have the shoots. In stage 1, we had the callus at the end of the stage 1. And in stage 2, you have the shoots without the root. Next, we will move on to the stage 3. So these unrooted shoots are transferred to the media, which is having higher concentration of auxin compared to the cytokinin, due to which what will happen, each shootlet starts developing the root. So adventitious rooting of the shoots or the shoot cluster takes place under laboratory condition, under in vitro condition. So harvested shoots may be pre-treated before rooting. So this the stage is also called as pre-transplant or pre-hardening, or this is the stage where you are initiating the root. More dilute media, activated charcoal may be added. So this will promote the rooting of the each shootlet under in vitro condition. Only the difference in the media is here you are adding more of auxin compared to the cytokinin, along with the activated charcoal or other important the micronutrients. So the advantages of rooting after removal of the culture is reduced costs, structurally and physiologically better plants will be obtained, and damage to the roots may occur during transplanting. So the removal of the culture uh, play an important role in maintaining the intactness of the plant. So now you have each shootlet which are having the root. Now each small plantlets or the tissue culture plants which are having the shoot as well as the small roots will be transferred to the environmental condition, that is the natural environment. Hence it is called as acclimatization or hardening. So that is the stage 4, the process by which an organism or the plant physiologically and anatomically has to adjust from in vitro to the ex vitro condition. So now this plant tissue culture regenerated plant has to adjust it to the natural environment. But they show it is relatively a slow process, may take weeks, and starch reserves, storage food in the regenerated tissue culture regenerated plant is very important. This plant must adjust from high to lower relative humidity, because here under in vitro condition, under plant tissue culture lab, we will maintain about 98 to 99% of the relative humidity. But in the natural environment, so much of humid nature will not be there. Maybe up to 60% will be there in the natural environment. So the tissue culture plant has to adjust to the low relative humidity, and the development of sufficient defenses to control water loss, because of the high humid nature, the water loss will be less. But when you transfer that into the natural environment, they will be under more of water loss. So that may be due to the cuticle development will be very poor, and due to which the more of water loss takes place, and abnormal stomatal development and function. So that also leads to the water loss and the non-poorly functional roots. So because of all this, they exhibit or they show the water loss. And when we are maintaining this tissue culture plant, we maintain the clean environment without the pathogens or the contaminating microorganism. But they have to adjust from clean to the natural environment with all type of the pathogens. And they have to adjust from low light to high light region, from low synthetic competence to high synthetic competence. So under in vitro condition, we will be having the daylight and night light exposure. So that will be optimum for the growth of the tissue culture plant. But when you transfer it to natural environment, obviously there will be high light. So that uh, change they have to withstand, and that this hardening process is very slow, because they have to adjust it to the high photosynthetic competence. They will be having the poorly differentiated leaf structure, they may take time, and they have the poorly developed chloroplast, and the supplied carbohydrate source for independent uh, carbon fixation. So because of all this, they show the process of adjusting to the new environment will be very slow. And apart from that, dormancy may need to be overcome in when you transfer the plant into the natural environment. And soil medium and the container play an important role. And when we are growing them under in vitro condition, we'll grow them in sterile pots or the plastic covers. So these acclimatization structures also play an important role in slowing down this hardening process, that is like fog system, humidity tent. So all these things will has to be removed, and they have to be there in the natural environment. So in this picture, we learned how this mother plant will be selected for micropropagation, how you induce the callus development, how you initiate the shoot, how you initiate the root, and later at the end, acclimatization that play an important role, where the each and every shootlet or the plant has to develop to the natural environment from the controlled optimum tissue culture lab. They have to adjust it to the natural environment. So I hope in this session you learned about micropropagation and the disadvantages of shoot culture and applications of micropropagation. Along with that, you learnt about the stages of micropropagation. I hope you understood this session. Thank you.